Hi, welcome to Senior Insights. My name is Cynthia, and I've missed you. I've missed you all. I know I've been doing videos, but they're not the same as like just talking to you. So I decided that I was going to have my cup of tea and that I was going to talk to you and I was going to tell you about my days. Actually, I was going to tell you about several days and several things that have been going on in my life. And I'll try to make it quick, but we know that I can't make a long story short. It just never happens. Sorry about that. Well, you know how I love going into town. Well, actually, I don't love going into town because when I go into town, first of all, it's like going on a day trip. That's what I call it. I'm going on a day trip. So I really like to, or prefer to, limit my time going into town to 1 day a week. And I consolidate all my errands and all the things that I have to do on that particular day. I try really hard to do that. Sometimes I have other things that I have to do, but for the most part, that's what I try and do. Well, on one day last week, I had to go into town. I didn't want to, but I just had to. I didn't really have a choice. I had to go, and I had to pick up some stuff at the pharmacy, and then there was a couple things I wanted at the grocery store. And so I said, well, I'm going to do it, and I'll bring the trash up to the dumpster on my way, so I'll accomplish as much as I can. So I get in the car, and I actually brought the dog with me, which I haven't been taking her lately, but I thought, well, maybe I'll be nice to her and let her come. She likes driving in the car. So she came with me, and that was okay, except she keeps shaking her head and getting slobber all over the place and dog hair all over the place, which drives me absolutely crazy. But she had a good trip. So I picked up I went to the pharmacy. Then I went to the grocery store and I picked up a few things, of course, a lot more than I had intended to do, so that annoyed me a bit. And then I get out of the grocery store and I can't find my car. Now, we all know that we have an alarm on our key fob that we can press and it will find our car for us by sounding an alarm. I'm telling you, I pressed it 5 times maybe. I don't want to exaggerate. And I did not hear any horn. So I'm wandering around the stupid parking lot, and every single car in the world is white, like mine is. So eventually, of course, I did get the alarm to go, and I did find the car, and it wasn't really that far from where I was, so I don't understand why the alarm didn't go off in the first place. So then I'm putting the stuff in the trunk of my car, and I bump my head on the top of the thing, so then it's on the door. So then it stops rising. So then it's stuck in that position. So then I got to figure out how do I get this opened or closed or something so that I can proceed with what I needed to do. So anyway, I took care of that. But I went into the grocery store because I wanted to buy potatoes because it was Easter that weekend, and I was going to make scallop potatoes, and I wanted to make sure that I had enough potatoes. So I bought potatoes, and I bought cheese, and I bought all these things. And then on Saturday, when I started to make these things, I discovered that I had enough potatoes that I could have gotten away with it, so I didn't have to go in to get potatoes. And the other thing I discovered is that I had cheese shredded and frozen in my freezers because I believe in having a well-stocked pantry and freezer, as you've probably already watched that video. So I didn't have to buy the cheese that I bought. So I went into town. I did have to go to the pharmacy, so I guess that was okay. And then I came home and I posted a couple of videos and I did a few things. I did my nails. I stopped at the hardware store and returned some lights that I had bought for under my kitchen cabinets because I'd like to do some videos there, but the lighting is so bad. And the ones that I first purchased didn't work, so I wanted to see what else they had. So now I've got to try and figure out how to install them on my own. I'm seriously thinking about asking my next door neighbor, but he's away right now at his son's house in Ohio. Then when I was in the grocery store, I wanted to buy myself some flowers so bad. I wanted flowers because I thought they'd make me feel like spring. It was a miserable day. It was, it was just a yucky day. But I talked myself out of it. I said, no, you do not need flowers. What are you thinking about? So I didn't do that. And then I was riding by a McDonald's and I wanted to stop at McDonald's. You know how sometimes you just want McDonald's fries or even a cheeseburger? Or I have a friend who likes fish sandwiches. I used to be addicted to those, but not anymore. I prefer the hamburgers. But I haven't done that in probably since last November when I went to New Hampshire with my friend. And we went a couple of times and I enjoyed it. But I haven't been since. And I wanted to go that day that I was out in the car. I would have even bought one for the dog. But I said, no, you do not need to do that. Remember, you're trying to be frugal. You're spending too much money. So then I went to women's group one day last week, and that was an interesting group. It was more of a more somber group than it usually is, so I did get a topic out of it, but I'm not going to share anything that went on there except the topic that I'm going to steal from that. We talked a lot about there were 3 widows and 3 women who still had their spouses. So the widows talked about their regrets. And there wasn't a dry eye in the place. And the other people talked about their fears. And so I am going to do a video. I've got it actually pretty much prepared, which will be coming in the next few days, so I don't want to spend too much time on that. So, I don't know why I want to talk about my glasses. The story of my glasses, I had the glasses that I have had in most of the videos. I had them for 6 years, over 6 years. I loved those glasses. I liked them. And as a matter of fact, I paid over $800 for those glasses. That was when I was a big spender. What can I say? However, I kept them for 6 years, despite the fact that my prescription changed every single year. So I never had the prescription changed, and I never changed the glasses for 6 years. This is how crazy I am. I would rather buy a Hershey candy bar or some impulse buy than actually take care of my eyes. How crazy is that? Anyway, I did go with the intention of having the lenses replaced in my glasses because I wanted those frames. Well, guess what? They cost twice as much as just buying a new pair of glasses. So then I had to go through the whole thing of, do these look nice? Do these look nice? And of course the girl is there. She's helping me, but her job is to sell the glasses. And it really annoys me that you can pay less for a whole new set of glasses than you can pay to replace the lenses in your current glasses that you really like. Does that make sense to you? They must make their money on the frames, which I have heard they're all made in the same place, and the $500 ones are as cheap as the $20 ones, so I don't know if that's true or not, but of course I said, okay, the problem with me is if I see something, with a little glitz or a designer label or something, it calls to me, and I said to the girl, you cannot let me look at any of these fancy things because I know me. I know that I'll decide that I want those. So I found several glasses, and of course she was telling me how beautiful I look in each one of them. But finally I decided on these, and I loved the way they looked when I was in the store. Well, when I go to pick them up, I was shocked that I had these new glasses. Now look, I can see much better. That was definitely a smart thing. But look at my eyelashes. I don't have any. I never noticed that before. I used to have beautiful long eyelashes. And now my eyebrows are just level with the glasses. Is that supposed to be the way they are? Basically, I like them. They were not terribly expensive. I think the whole total was like $310, so that was a little more palatable than $800, which I was afraid that I would get suckered into doing. So I have new glasses and I can actually see. So that's a good thing. And I've been doing my walking, and I haven't been doing it consistently every day, but I've been trying, and I'm still getting out of breath, and I have a friend who tells me that I walk too fast, and my hip hurts, but I'm trying. I went for a walk again today before I recorded this, but that's for another video. I'm getting kind of confused with what video I did, which ones I don't do, and how many I have. I try to keep them in the check so that, I don't have to get stressed out, because I actually enjoy doing the videos. But it makes me nervous when I don't have too many waiting to be posted. Anyway, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad I'm having my tea with you. And I'm sorry I didn't even make any sense. But I survived all those trips into town to get the groceries. Then I had to go drive to go to my son's house for Easter. Then I had to go get my glasses and blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's too much. I prefer to stay at home. Plus, it's expensive. Okay, before I sign off, I've got to tell you this. You know how I told you I brought the trash in my car? Well, I put the trash in my car on Friday or Saturday, possibly. The trash included 2 trash bags, 1 bag of dirty cat litter, and several boxes. When I went to town, I was supposed to bring the trash to the dumpster, which is right at the top of my driveway. Well, I forgot. So I said, oh, no big deal. You just put them in there when you get home. So I got home, and I forgot. So the trash was, I forgot, and I said, well, the next time I get in the car, I'll smell the trash. That will remind me to go to the dumpster. Well, the next day I drove all the way to my son's house, which is almost 50 miles away. I didn't smell any trash or kitty litter or anything. So it didn't get in the dumpster on the way to my son's house or when I came back. So I guess it was Monday. Monday I get in the car and I can smell the trash. So I finally emptied the trash. So my trash was actually in my car waiting to be emptied for 4 days. So, senior moments. It happens whenever you're stressed or you feel pressured. That's what I think. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for being here for me, to let me just talk to you. And please write in the comments any thoughts you might have. Tell me how you like my glasses. And please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks again.